Okay, so here we have an HTTP client that is generating a post request to the server and stringifying a user instance that is being passed along, and we are configuring here that this is should be interpreted as a JSON string that is formatted as a JSON object, and then the response is going to come back presumably with a list of users, including the new user that has been added. So we need to kick this off. So we're going to do that from the JavaScript that we have so far, right? We have notice that we have an HTML that has a form, right? This form is being rendered here. There it is. Right, this is the form right here, and this form is generated by this HTML. These are the input fields. We need to be able to grab those input fields, right? And when we click on the create button, right, we want to kick off the that post that goes out to the server. So let's do that. Let's first try and grab this create button, right, and try and kick off some logic. All right, so let's do that. Let's go out to the JavaScript. Let's go and let's see. We'll need to grab the. We'll declare here a variable to have the create button, create user button. We'll declare that, and we're going in main. We're gonna go and fetch it. Create user button. We're gonna go in jQuery and then refer to that HTML in the DOM. It's a class, I believe, or is it an ID? I forget. It's a class. There we go. So we're going to grab that. Okay. Okay. So we have that, and once we have this button, so the first part of this main is just grabbing all these elements from the DOM, and down below is some logic that we'd like to be able to do. For instance, we'd like to bind that button when we click it. We would like to click it and invoke a function, an event handler here in the encoded in this JavaScript, right? All right, so we'll invoke it. We'll invoke a local function called create user, which we'll implement down here. So function create user, and that create user is going to be responsible for reading the form, retrieving the username, whatnot, everything, right? And now it's bound to this plus, and then its responsibility is to send a request to the server. So let's see if we can, if indeed we have it bound to that click. So we'll do a create user. If we refresh this and click on plus, it's not quite working. Let's see. HTML, blah, 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 create user. Let's debug this, inspect. Let's see if we have any errors. We don't. We'll look at the source. We can look at, looks like it hasn't reloaded entirely. We can reload, we do a hard reset, and see if we, let's see if it loaded now. There it is, now it is. It had not reloaded entirely. Okay, let's try again. If we do a plus, right, notice that indeed it is doing that alert. All right, so we know that that button is now bound to the click event. So what do we want to do with the click event? We certainly don't just want to do an alert. We would like to retrieve all the elements in the form, right? And the form has been appropriately, let's see, we have appropriately given some unique identifiers so we can refer to those fields, right? So we like, for now, let's just grab the username. Let's grab the username. So we'll do var username. We're gonna grab the field, right? And that's from jQuery. Now I'm getting tired of having to type jQuery all the time to retrieve things from the DOM. So there's an alias we can use instead, which is $. So that we don't have to type all 6 characters. And this allows us to do the same thing. Refer to elements in the DOM, although I don't believe this is a class, it's an ID, right? So for IDs, we don't use the period, instead we use the hash. Right, so there we go. So we have the field, and certainly you would do all the other ones, right? You would have to do password field and whatnot. Yes. And what else? We now need to go fetch the actual values. So the username will be using whatever the field is. We'll retrieve the value of those fields. Right. Same thing for the password and all the other fields. Right. Not the field, the actual password. Okay. So password, we'll say some bogus password. Oh, actually no. This is the actual value. We're just going to put some bogus value. This would be the actual value that we retrieve from the field. Once we have the values, we can now build a user object, a user JSON object, which will have the field's username with the username values and the password values and whatnot, right? Password with the password plus first name and so on and so forth. First name, we'll leave it closed, right? And then what we need to be able to do is now send this user object to our brand new create user that we built in our user service, right? Which we have already loaded, we've already instantiated, and we can use it here in our create user. We can say, I'm going to pass into the user service. We're going to call the create user, and we're going to pass this user object, right? And if you remember, this create user on the server side is going to respond with an array of users, right? Which basically we want to do exactly the same thing that our find all user is doing, right? Just render it to the table, right? So let's do that. Let's do the same thing here. This is gonna return a promise, right? This create user is gonna return the same promise that we are returning here with find all, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna notify the render user to re-update the list with the brand new users. Okay. All right, so let's try it out. So let's run this. Let's remove these breakpoints, and let's see if now we create. Let's see, Alice, Bob, Charlie, Dan, and then we'll try Ed, and this is Edward, right, and so on and so forth. So we're going to do a create. Right, it didn't quite work. Let's try this out. Let's do an inspect. See if we run into some issues. It's complaining. This is a console. It says on call blah blah create user is not a function. If we go in there, it's trying to hit this create user. Let's see if we forgot something in this create user on the client. The client service. This is a create user. Oh yeah, we forgot to register it as an instance variable. So this is create user. There we go. That's why we couldn't find it. Right, so let's do that again. Let's refresh, and let's close this, and let's try again with Edward. Say plus. Let's see. We have oh boy, we have quite a few other folks here. Ada. Alice, Bob, Charlie, Dan, but we don't have Ed. Let's see what might have gone wrong. Let's step through this code. Also, we have an error here. Let's see, we do console fail to load resource server 405. That seems to have some problem on the server side. Let's look at the server side. We have any errors? Let's see. Request method post not supported. I think we did create a post. There it is. It is post mapping / users. Public list, create, so on and so forth, body, user. That looks right. And REST controller. And let's see what are we sending. Let's refresh this. Let's see. We apparently we didn't add anything. Let's see what the network says when we're sending something over. So let's just clear the network. Let's just put some bogus content here. Say plus. Right, so there's the error. There's the network that was sent. We are indeed sending a post, and there it is, the / users, and we are sending the right information. Well, you know what probably happened is that we never, we added this post method on the server, but maybe we never restarted the server. Let's try that. Let's restart the server. Probably never recompiled. So let's start it again. Probably we're going to get some message here that it's starting. Let's see. It's taking a while. Let's go to this client. Let's see if it already loaded. Refresh. Okay. Looks like the server is up and running again. Let's try it again. Plus. Okay. Let's see. All right. Notice that indeed it did add the SSSS. Right. Looks like we have any errors? Okay. No errors. So that's okay. Oh, I know what's happening. Notice that what's happening is that it's repeating the first four, right? It's repeating them again, right? Plus our new one. Actually, if we refresh the page, notice that we only have the first five, which is the correct. So probably what happened is that it indeed was added to the array, but we never actually clear the old content. Right? So let's go back to the content is being added to this T body over here, right? This T body. And what we need to do is clear out that content from our previous content, so that we can refresh, right? Now we can do that here in the component. What we can do is that when we render the users, we could clear out the content of the body. Right? We can say grab the body. I thought maybe we already have the body. Let's see. Did we grab the body? We did, right? And we stored it in a local variable here. So we can say tbody dot empty. This will empty the old content. Okay. One problem that we might run into is that in that HTML, in that tbody, right, we have the templates that we are using for copying and pasting and iterating over this copy, right? So if we remove it, we're going to lose this template. So what we might want to probably do is maybe move this out of the body. I put it elsewhere that can also contain a row. So we'll put it in there. It's the same template, but it lives elsewhere. Instead of living in the body, it's going to live in the head. All right. Let's make sure that if we go to the JavaScript, we're grabbing it correctly. Excuse me. Yeah, we're grabbing the template just by using the class, right? So it could live in the head as well as in the body. It doesn't matter since it's hidden, right? So it's not going to be seen anyway. All right, let's try it out. Let's refresh this. We still have SSS because we use that bogus name. So we'll try and use ed. We're not using password, first name, last name. Anyway, I'll leave that for you to finish on your own. So let's do a plus. Notice that indeed it added the ed correctly. Even if we refresh, it's fetching it with it has been permanently added to the server. It's not storing in any database. We're not storing in any file. So if we restart the server, right, it will reset to the hard-coded first four. All right. So excellent. So we have now the end-to-end ability of being able to post new content to the server, and the server storing it in a local variable in the server. Later on, about a week or two from now, we'll see how to make those storage, make it permanent using a database.